Well, despite all the flu shots, the CDC is reporting increased flu activity across the country. Now listing 9 states, plus New York City is also seeing high levels of an influenza-like illnesses. So just how bad is it going to get this flu season? Joining me now is family physician Jennifer Caudle. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in, doctor. So is this an unusually high number of cases?
So, this is what I would say. Flu season typically goes from October to May, and the height of the flu season is usually now. December, January, February. So what I would say is that this is what I expect. I expect us to see and start seeing that increase, and that's what we're seeing throughout the country. So we're seeing an increase in cases. It makes sense.
Now, a lot of people will get a bad cold and wonder whether it's something more serious that requires antibiotics and the rest of it, or even a visit to the hospital.
Right.
How do you distinguish, first of all, between just a bad cold and something worse?
Flu, right. So cold and flu are different. They are different viruses. Some of the symptoms overlap, but some of the differences are when you have the flu, often there's very high fever that can last a little bit longer.
High fever meaning above what?
Well, I would say 101, 102 even. Sometimes I've seen patients with 103 fever. I mean, that's just a general range. Everyone's different, but a high fever. The other thing people feel with the flu is they feel muscle aches. You feel like a bus has hit you. You can't get out of bed. You're absolutely worn out, drained, exhausted. That is different from the cold. Those are probably the two main features, and the severity of the illness. The flu is just generally worse. You can be out of work, out of school, out of commission for 5 to 7 days with the flu, whereas maybe a cold a couple days keeps you down, but you're able to keep moving.
Now, by the way, there have been only a couple of times when I felt that, but I know that feeling.
Yes.
When every muscle in your body aches. I mean, it's just horrible. So I've had the flu, but I've resisted getting antibiotics for it because I know that all the stuff about antibiotics, a lot of it is true. You can become resistant to it if you take it too much, right?
Remember, though, in this case, the flu is a virus. Antibiotics don't work against viruses. So it's actually appropriate that none of us, if we have the flu, we should not be taking antibiotics. I think the biggest thing here
you just have to tough it out.
Well, getting the flu shot is really what we want you to do. Getting the flu shot beforehand, and by the way, for those who are listening, it's not too late. That will likely either prevent the flu, or if you get sick, may reduce sort of the severity of the illness. That's really what we want people to be doing.
But if you don't get or if you get the shot and you come down with the flu anyway,
it's likely to be less. It's likely to be less severe.
Okay.
And remember, a lot of this is what we call herd immunity. People don't realize that we have hundreds of thousands of people are hospitalized with complications of the flu. Tens of thousands of people die every year, so we need to protect our entire community.
Doctor, we had a dear colleague of ours. She was only 26-year-old, Bree Payton.
Yes.
She passed away yesterday, and it was because, well, a lot of the press reports say it was swine flu that might have led to meningitis, that might have led to her death. But you suggest there is a different kind of virus that might have been involved.
So I think it's important to understand that our seasonal flu influenza virus strains that are circulating, the CDC and other scientists, they try to figure out what's going to be circulating. We have the H1N1 strain, that's a seasonal strain, H3N2, and we have some B virus strains. Now that's what's in the seasonal flu vaccine that we're getting. So understand that there's an H1N1. The H1N1 that a lot of times we think about with swine flu is a variant. We often remember that from 2009 where there was an uptick in cases, but that's a variant H1N1. So when I talk about the seasonal influenza that we're getting the flu shot against, we're getting it against H1N1, which is a seasonal strain, H3N2, and B viruses as well. There are additional strains of the flu virus as well. But remember, this is what we're talking about. The flu virus for some can be downright deadly.
By the way, we only have about 20 seconds, but what was scariest about Bree was she was just on camera on Wednesday, and she died on Friday. I mean, it was so quick. What would the warning signs be that she should have been more aware of, or that maybe we could all be more aware of?
Well, I wasn't her treating physician, so I want to put that out there. But this is the thing is, if there were any complications of the flu, sometimes the flu can lead to other things. You mentioned meningitis or pneumonia or other things like that. It is possible to get the flu and have that kind of morph into something even more serious that causes problems. But this is the thing, for anybody out there, if you're feeling sick, if you're not getting better, if it seems particularly severe, check with your doctor.
Dr. Caudle, thank you very much. And Bree Payton, her family, all of her friends are in our prayers.